Good month, everybody, and welcome to the new episode of Karaoke Talks. Did you really think that January was like a whole year? Cause for me, it passed so quickly, don't even know when it happened, and we're already here. Anyways, I hope you had fun with the beginning of New Year, and if not, you still got time, buddy. After my first episode, I was thinking a lot about what my next show would be, and decided to talk a bit about work experiences in Greece with the small experience that I have, because I had also mentioned that I would also talk about that, so I was like, yeah, why not? When I first came in Greece, I was still one teenager, and in those years, everything seems either so depressing or joyful. I think I had both. I was excited with the changes that was waiting for me, and I never thought that it would go that hard year by year. I had two things in my mind: to study and to work. I only did the first thing, and for the second one I had to wait 6 years till I got all the documents that was needed in case to work somewhere. Till then, I had only small experiences with doing some remote stuff, which were small but serious at some point because I needed it. I got my residence permit last year in August, I think, and it came with a work permit that meant that I was legally finally, so no hiding or being nervous of getting caught by police or something, and finally I was able to work somewhere else. So that's when I started looking for jobs with no experience, with no CV, nothing. I attempted many interviews. Some of them were in huge companies in which I had most faith, I'd say, because I was less waiting for something uneven from them based on how we know them from outside, but I was wrong. I'll tell you why when we get there. So at first, I started for looking jobs in cafeterias as a waiter or as an assistant because it seemed easy to find. I'm not talking about the job itself, because every job has its own difficulty and I'm not getting into it. But unfortunately, they all were looking for someone with experience. They didn't care the motivation, the energy I had to work, because I was, let's say, saying for all these years, which is not totally true, but I was desperate and in need. That's what I was explaining to them, but it didn't win. That's when a friend of mine appeared and told me about a job as an assistant in one clothing shop. He was like, I know they are looking for someone, go ahead and try, they may take you. And I did went there, even though it was really far from the place where I used to live back then, not minding if I had to spend 2 hours on the road because I needed it. So I did my first interview, had a great feedback, but the story is that as it appeared, they were looking for a person in a different location, which was more convenient for me, so I was excited for that. They told me that I had to attend one and another interview in a different place, so I was waiting for their call. They did call me, asked me to go for a second interview, which is where they find out that I was not Greek, and problems started to come out of nowhere. Then they asked me for an ID, which for obvious reasons I didn't have. I tried to explain to them that I was legal and showed them every single paper that I had in my hands, but they were staying in their position, saying that just because I don't have the card, they can accept me there, like it was an administrative service center or something. I left them knowing deep inside me that I got rejected just because I was not Greek, which of course they will refuse to admit because they are afraid to be seen as a racist, which they really are, and here are a bunch of them. After this failure comes the second try in a different place for a different role. I had sent my CV to the world's largest and most famous fast food restaurant. Yes, you got it right, in McDonald's, from where they called me and made me an appointment so that I could go there and talk about this job opportunity. The lady I was talking with seemed nice in the first place, which maybe she is, and it's just the politics she had to go through. But anyways, after 2 or 3 minutes of talking, she goes with a tricky question which makes more sense in Greek, and I think I don't have the ways of explaining it, but she goes like, do you have the possibility to drive? Which can also mean if I know someone who may appear to be known to them. If you get it, you get it. To which my response was asking back what she meant, where she started talking about the hours and schedules, that it's hard and sometimes I may be finishing much late my job. To that my answer was simply that I don't see the problem there because I lived close enough to not have a problem. She continued talking to me with explaining a bit more about the job, and I was agreeing to everything she was saying to me, meaning, for example, she asked me if I was okay to shave my beard and to take off my earrings, and I was like, hell yes, give it to me, I don't care. I have to see myself without beard for so many years. And she goes again, do you have someone who may be working here who told you about this job? I said I didn't know anyone, which is true because I don't, and that I have found the application on the website. She told me after that if I'd be chosen, I'd receive a call, which I never did, only because I didn't have someone important to them in case to be worthy to be working to them. I have to mention there that after some months, when they still had vacancy, I sent again my CV and got rejected by email saying so. Maybe they even put me in a blacklist or something, I don't know. After that, in the cafeteria called TikTok, where my sister also used to work, they were looking for a waiter, and I went there to speak with the employee, telling him that I was experienced and that I was also working in a different place in the same position, which was obviously a lie, but I did it knowing that otherwise I'd be rejected once again. We spoke about the days and money he was going to pay me for the work I do, and from the next day I finally started working. It was a day of a public holiday in Greece, so it meant that we were going to have much work that we did really have, and my first day was so tiring. Even with no experience, I did everything as it should be done because I guess I'm a fast learner. Even though we had said 3 to 4 days, he put me to work 8 hours every day without a single day off, which, to be honest, was fine because I needed to collect some money for things I was going to do in the future. For these days, I was waiting him to make me an employment contract, and I was reminding him that daily because in case if I want my residence permit to be continued, I need to show the government that I work. But he was always finding some excuses, saying that he had to do some stuff first, that he had to make a schedule, seeing which days he was going to put me, and after that he would do the contract, and I was waiting for which I was actually begging to him to give that for 2 months. Imagine every week 1 or 2 times, as if it was not enough. Every time when the day he had to pay me was coming, he was disappearing, so I had to also beg him to give me the money he was supposed to give for my work, and every single time he was giving me on hand less than he was supposed to give me, 15 to 20 euros less. For what, when I was saying it to him, he was like, I'm gonna give it to you later. He didn't pay me my first day also, saying that it was because he decided to put me like it was like a trial this day, which felt unfair because even if it was or not, I worked for 8 hours this day, despite of the fact that my employer was irresponsible person in any ways. He had put one girl like ahead of the coffee shop, which had no idea of doing anything at all, but she had this look, always walking like a boss inside, which was so funny, but I was letting her rise her own ego, smiling to her, showing that I was good at listening and was doing whatever she was asking for until her boyfriend comes to work to us and gets the contract immediately. My hours and days were shortened. That's when I said fuck you all, and I was doing whatever I wanted there, mostly sitting and doing only the job that I went there to do, not the other things they were putting me to do, as like doing dishes, cleaning, being in a role of the assistant and the waiter at the same time. The place was starting to look like a shithole. When I was going to work, I was never saying that I was going to the job. I always said kindergarten because that's how it always looked like for me. Place filled with irresponsible, dishonest, fake people who are trying to sell the idea of being something when they are nothing at all. With this and so many other things, they started looking for a new waiter, which I find out from my sister, who had stopped working there as soon as she understood what the situation was there. She saw a post in Facebook of one personal asking if someone was interested in working there. So as you can understand, I started counting my days, knowing that someone was going to change me, because otherwise, if you are looking for a waiter and you are in a need, why you are putting me for 2 days a week to work then? You know I'm free and want to work. Why don't you call? So when this new person came, I sat and explained to her my job, everything that I was doing there, and when a team came to be paid again and went to the place to see my employer, he goes like, I'm working on a schedule and I'll tell you in which days you will be in. He never said anything after. I'd never received a call. He never explained to me what really happened. He just disappeared like that. And if you ever ask him, he's a man. Denial is a river in Egypt, and your husband is a pussy, you know? Boom. Thank you for staying with me and listening. Bye!